soon. That happened the last call. We had folks joining in throughout the call. So good evening to those of you who are out there. My name is Frank Kowaleski, and this is a webinar on military education benefits being brought to you from our community salutes, being presented by American Military University, who's been a gracious sponsor. Our community salutes and our community salutes connect this year. I am not Dr. Ken Hartman, who is the founder of Community Salutes. I'm a volunteer, and I've been helping out with these events on behalf of the organization. I became involved as I had a son who served for 6 years in the Air Force and have been supporting the organization in a variety of capacities. With us tonight is Dan Roby from American Military University. There was a short bio attached with some of the email, the latest emails that you received yesterday and today. But by way of background, Dan is a former, I want to say command sergeant. I may not do that correctly, Dan, for the U.S. Air Force for a great deal of time, 25 plus years, and has served with American Public University System, of which American Military University is a part of. So, and he's been in the role of outreach and working with military affairs and veterans affairs on behalf of the institution for a great number of years. So Dan is the subject matter expert presenting tonight, and also joining and actually being the technical moderator here is Rick Shuffling, and he is an IT person who helps support our community salutes. This evening, just a few things. We are going to, Dan will cover the subject areas, and then what will, I will ask that for those of you who have questions, there is a chat function on your, in the screen with that you have before you. And you should, if you have any questions, please type those in. Those will go to Rick, and we'd like to handle all the questions at the end. Those questions will be read back, and then we'll do our best to answer those for you. With that, we're going to, I'll wrap up here momentarily. Dan will cover the content. We'll have some time for Q&A and the conclusion. A couple of other housekeeping items that we'll switch back to the conclusion. One is that we will be posting this information onto the Community Salutes Connect website at the in the next couple days. And in addition, we will also be sending out an evaluation sometime in the next few days as well for those of you participating in being able to provide some feedback with regard to the webinar this evening. So I want to thank you for your attendance. What we will do now is we'll roll over into the content area for Dan. And Dan, can you hear me okay? Because I'm going to switch over to you. Okay, great. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Frank. And everyone, I'm really humbled to be here and talking to you. As Frank said, I spent 27 years wearing an Air Force uniform, retired as a Chief Master Sergeant. And during that time, I attended 12 different universities to get my bachelor's degree completed. So I got a lot of experience, good and bad, in that realm. 20 of my 27 years I spent in the recruiting world. So I spent a lot of time with the folks that some of you may be sitting out there in the delayed enlistment waiting to join your branch. I spent a lot of time with you and seeing you through that period. And now for the last 15 years with American Military University, being able to help you achieve your goals, your desires, and your dreams. I will say the one thing that I've seen a disconnect is the individuals coming into the services and then the individuals actually wanting to get their college, which is usually over 90%. They list education as their #1 reason to join, and then actually getting their education once they get into the military. So hopefully this will help out a little bit. As Frank said, I'm a quasi subject matter expert, but please remember everything that I tell you tonight, you will have an education center on your military installation. They will be there to help you, to guide you, to do everything that you need to get your educational plan in place and achieve your educational goals. So don't be overwhelmed tonight by information, because you'll still be able to get that info. And to be honest, it changes a lot. So you need to kind of keep up on it and see what's new on the horizon. So with that, we can move on into the next slide.
Okay, sorry, Dan. Let me just get this up here.
That's all right.
Just get the correct share here.
The next slide that will come up will be that one.
There you go.
Types of educational assistance programs. There is a multitude of different programs to help you achieve your educational goals out there. And luckily, I've used just about all of them, so I can give you a little bit of personal insights on the programs and where they sit today. Next. This is a great program. It is run by Dantes, and they're down in Pensacola, Florida, but the credit by exam, and you've heard them called CLEP exams, DSSTs, ECEs, but it's basically a credit by exam, and Dantes pays for you to take the first course, first test, I should say, free of charge. So there'll be no money out of your pocket for it. You'll have study materials you can do at your installation libraries or at your educational centers. You can take them for a multitude of different courses, and most colleges out there, especially the ones you'll be dealing with at your military installations, will take credit by exam courses towards your degree plan. Next. This is an awesome part of the overall military's program. You will get a lot of your credit hours towards your degree through the actual training that you get in the military. The military, the most significant of all of the benefits fall into this category. You'll get educational time and credit hours for even basic training. You'll go on through your initial schooling to learn your job, whether it be the Air Force and your tech school or your MOS training in the Army, to get your ratings in the other services. You will get credits for that training, and they'll continue all the way through your career, whether you get out after 2 years, 4 years, or 30 years. If you go through professional military education down the road to learn leadership and management, you'll get credit hours for that. The American Council on Education actually goes in and they evaluate these schoolhouses where you'll get this training, and they give recommendations for credit hours. So you'll get lots of training, lots of education, and a lot of it will be credit worthy towards your degree program. The one way to try to maximize your credit by using this program is to select a degree program that is closely aligns with your job in the military, because those are going to be some of your core requirements that you're going to have for your degree, and you'll get them through your military training. Next, please. Tuition assistance, a fabulous program, and the one you probably heard the most about when you're sitting there talking with your recruiter, telling you the things that you can do in the military to achieve your college education. Tuition assistance is a Department of Defense program. They enact it, they put the rules, they put the ability for the service to utilize the program as a recruiting and retention tool. And then each branch of service has their own little twist on how they utilize it, whatever is best for that branch of service to make sure that their military members are able to achieve their educational goals and to achieve the goals of the service itself, to make sure that their people are staying with them and learning the things that they need to do and be ready for performance of their duty in the mission. Next, please. So, as I said, each branch has its own criteria for eligibility, service, application process, restrictions, and the thing to keep in mind is this changes year to year and sometimes even mid-year. So it's very important that when you hear what I'm telling you today, if you're sitting out there in hometown USA ready to join the military, that you check as time goes on, because the programs change. They normally will change 1 October, usually the time where they turn over and change if there's going to be any, but there also may be changes mid-year. So keep in mind, ask questions and see where you're at. In addition to tuition assistance, active duty members could use what they call GI top-up. And you can use your GI Bill funds if the tuition assistance doesn't cover all of your class or you use all your tuition assistance for the year. And tuition assistance is not a loan. Every fiscal year it resets. If you use it, great. If you don't use it, you lose it. So each year you'll have some of the older folks in the military will look back and say, geez, it's been 20 years I've been in the military and I never really used my tuition assistance. So they take the, $4,000, $4,500, depending what branch they're in, and multiply it by 20, and they look at all the money they lost. So it's very important to make sure you use it as you go, whether you take one class at a time, 1 or 2 a year, or 4, 5, 6, 7 classes a year. Use your tuition assistance. It's an important program. Next, please. GI Bill benefits. The good news is they just keep getting better and better and better. Throughout the years, through the old GI Bill that many of our grandparents and parents and some of you great-grandparents may have utilized after World War II, have progressed now to the post 9/11 GI Bill. And also you could use the Montgomery GI Bill or Reserve GI Bill, but most use the post 9/11 GI Bill. And it's available to active duty service members, reservists, veterans. You don't pay into this program. It's the amount that you get is based on your the number of months that you served after 9/11. To get the full benefit, you have to serve 36 months, and that gives you 100% coverage of the GI Bill. It's a great program. There's some transferability even to family members, and you can use it forever. There used to be restrictions. The Montgomery GI Bill, there is a 10-year restriction on utilization. The post 9/11 used to be 15. It is now called the Forever GI Bill. So if you get out of the military tomorrow, you have forever to use it. So it's a great program. It can help you finish your college programs, vocational training, testing, a multitude of different areas. And if you go into the VA websites, I can give you some great insights, and you can also sign up to have notifications of any changes to that program, which can be beneficial because it changes a lot. And like I said, luckily, recently it changes for the better. Next, please. Military scholarships and grants. There are a multitude out there. Your federal student aid, you're eligible. Some of you, many of you may be eligible for Pell Grants, which you don't pay back. Or you may get just a very low interest loan or a grant. It can assist you with some of your tuition, some of your books, fees, living expenses, things along those lines. But many, many military members are able to achieve their educational goals with no loans, no out-of-pocket, which is a great benefit. and your education centers on your military installations can help you achieve that goal. So please utilize them. They also could probably have a list out there. Most of them will tell you what scholarships are available and what websites to go to. Like I said, there's a multitude of them out there. So take advantage and shop around when you're looking at your military universities, and try to find the best school that fits your needs. All schools are a little bit different. Some schools will provide grants to cover books and fees. Some will waive application fees. And so it's just do your homework, work with your education center, and I'm sure you'll be able to find the university that is the right fit for you. Next, please. Service program overview. This is important because every branch, like I said earlier, is just a little bit different. Next, please. The Air Force, where I spent my 27 years, they cover 100% of the tuition and fees. They do have caps. The DoD allows up to $4,500 for tuition assistance for each branch of service, and the Air Force utilizes that and allows their airmen to go up to $4,500 per fiscal year. And when I say fiscal year, keep in mind that's 1 October through 30 September is the military fiscal year. They can get up to, and this is the same for all services because it's the DoD requirement, up to $250 per credit hour. So that's $750 per course is paid, whether it's for your associate's, bachelor's, or a master's degree program. If it's over the $750, then it's an out-of-pocket cost. They will also give you tuition assistance for regionally or nationally accredited schools. So make sure you check on the accreditation of your school that they fall into one of those two categories. And again, make sure you use your education center. And the one requirement that the Air Force does have is that you have to have approval by your supervisor. So your supervisor has to sign off on when you request to take courses through one of the universities, whether it be in residence or online. Next, please. The Army also has 100% tuition assistance, and it does cover the tuition, lab fees, enrollment fees, and it's open to active duty, National Guard, Army Reservists, individuals that the soldiers are out there serving. They can get up to $4,000 a year, and their only requirement is they have to make sure that the soldier has completed whatever PME level he or she is required to take. And if they hit that level, then they're okay for their first college class once they arrive at their first duty station. And again, it's $250 per credit hour, $4,000 limit per year, and there has to be a regionally or nationally accredited university. Next, please. The Navy follows the same rules that applies to the other services as far as what it covers with tuition and fees. They have some different requirements that came into place effective 1 October of this year that put some restrictions on college. And if you are in the Navy right now, you have to wait a 2-year period from your date of enlistment to take college courses in the Navy. So there's a 2-year wait. Once you hit the 2-year mark in the Navy, you can start taking classes, and you can take up to 12 semester hours, which equates to $3,000 for courses, up to $3,000 due to the $250 per credit hour restriction. So basically, 12 semester hours, $3,000 per year, but you have to wait 2 years before you can take the courses in the Navy for college. Next, please. United States Marine Corps follows a little bit along the same lines as the Navy. However, they do allow the 4,000 up to the 4,500 mark versus the 3,000 mark. But there is a 2-year wait for Marines to take college courses. There are waivers if you're an exceptional Marine at the 18-month point. You may be allowed to take college courses. On the Marine side, or I'm sorry, on the Navy side of the house, there are no waivers for that 2-year rule, but there is for the Marine Corps for the 18-month rule, up to the 18-month rule. Next, please. The United States Coast Guard has a tuition assistance program, and this is one that changes often each fiscal year. So you really got to keep close tabs on it to see what the limits are and what they have in there. Right now, the Coast Guard will allow up to $2,250 for tuition assistance for the year. So that basically equates to 3 classes if those 3 classes are using the $250 per credit hour requirement. So that would be the Coast Guard's. And that's pretty much a wrap up of the different branches and what they have in there. So at this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions that may be out there. And if I can't answer them, I'm pretty certain I can find it for you.
There were a couple of questions that Rick may have gotten. I know I got a couple of questions for people who were not going to be able to participate. So one was, what is the Yellow Ribbon Program?
The Yellow Ribbon Program it's a great program for those after they're out of the military and using their post 9/11 GI Bill. The GI Bill, of course, will cover all resident tuition and fees at a public school, and they'll pay the lower of the actual tuition and fees or the national maximum per academic year for a private school. So what that means is there may be situations where the post 9/11 will not pay the entire cost of the school that you select to go to. If that school is a participating Yellow Ribbon Program school, they can give you funds, and they'll be matched by the VA that will help you cover the complete cost of the program at that university. So just because a university may be high cost, it may not be out of reach for someone using the post 9/11 GI Bill. The student just needs to check to see if they are a Yellow Ribbon participant, and they may get extra funding.
And the other question that I had come through, and I think you answered, I think what we'll do is when we put things on the website, we'll maybe add a couple of just notes, not to your presentation deck, but are there time restrictions on the using your VA benefits, and the post 9/11 bill you said are indefinite?
Correct.
But there were some on the Montgomery, I believe you mentioned.
Yes, Montgomery is a 10-year restriction.
And then Rick, I'm not sure if any other questions came through.
Yeah, I had one. I had one question.
You're breaking up there a little bit, Rick.
That came in before was, I think Dan already answered it during his. Can you hear me okay now?
That's better.
Okay. So one of the questions that Dan, I think, already answered was how soon may an active duty service member start taking classes using the tuition reimbursement program? And I think Dan had mentioned that it was different for each branch.
Yes.
That's correct.
The Navy has a 2-year waiting restriction. The Marines have 2 years with an 18-month potential waiver. At 18 months, a potential waiver. I didn't think anything for Air Force or Army. Dan?
Yeah, the Air Force does not have a time and service restriction. They just have a supervisor approval rule to make sure that they're ready to take classes. The Army did have a time and service restriction, but they did away with that and instead put in place a program that ensures that the soldier has completed the professional military education requirements that they need for their rank before they can be approved for tuition assistance. which in my opinion makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so are there any other questions coming through?
There was none that I see right now. I'm certain that, I mean, when we have this video up on the website, we can certainly push out an email to display that it's out on the website and ask for any questions or feedback through email or maybe a comment section. From there, we can probably field some questions, possibly to Dan, or something that maybe Frank, you'd be able to answer.
Okay, great. We'll do that. Can you just throw on the agenda onto the screen, Rick, and then
Sure thing.
and pardon me.
Okay.
So just as a
Can you see it now?
yes, yeah, it's, I can see it fine.
Now?
Okay. We will be, just as a reminder, we will be posting this to the deck and a video audio file to the OCS Connect website in the coming days. There will be, this fall, as part of the series, college options in the military webinar in mid-November, being provided by University of Maryland Global Campus, who, like American Military University, is one of the sponsors, education sponsors for Community Salutes Connect. And that we will push an evaluation out, but we're going to probably consider the amount of participation. We'll have to reassess when that will be sent out. So to our participant. And I will open it up if there are any last or final comments. Otherwise, we can conclude, and Dan and Rick, if we can just stay on for a couple of moments.
Sure, real quick. We will be posting the video, and what I've seen is some interest. Actually, some people could not join last minute. I see a couple emails that came through that said they had prior obligations. So I'm sure they would be interested in seeing the video and possibly commenting
Right.
on it.
Okay, good. Yeah. So to our participants, you are welcome to sign off. We here will stay on for just a couple of moments. Thank you.
It looks like they signed off. I'm going to stop recording now.
Okay.